wonder if this is live. There seems to be a delay going on at the moment. Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the statute of limitations, clearly inappropriate behaviour, and then the need for revenge many decades later and the motivations for that. So there's a number of things sort of colliding here and coming together, and also the changing values of our times, say from 50 years ago to today, and that sort of thing. Should we be judging people of an act, behaviour from 50 years ago by the standards of today? And if so, our values, or they're not values, the activism of the day, can it be applied retrospectively, and can penalties be applied also from a retrospective perspective that weren't necessarily crimes or lesser crimes of the time? So here's a situation here: a high school teacher, and it's alleged, and I don't know if there was even a dispute on this, but it's alleged the teacher behaved inappropriately with, it's a boys' school, with first-year high school boys. And it was alleged, again, I don't think that there was much dispute here. Maybe the extent of it was in dispute, but the teacher, during sports and that sort of thing, had the boys stripped down and sort of stand for parade while he sort of walked up and down. So something clearly unnecessary. Now some boys sort of didn't care, others were, what the hell. Some felt they were affected, and that was it. There was nothing. There was no sexual impropriety. There was no handling of genitalia or a sexual act or anything like that. Now, my personal view is that behaviour was unnecessary and inappropriate. So, and there are other things that were alleged. Boys who'd sort of gone into puberty maybe a little bit earlier, and this would be brought to the attention of the others, and existence or lack of pubic hair would be mentioned. So clearly inappropriate. I don't think that's beyond dispute, and why a first-year teacher would even need to go down this path is quite beyond me. And there should have been disciplinary action at the time. In my view, there should have been disciplinary action at the time, and it'd be pointed out that maybe this person's chosen a career that they're not suited for. Anyway, that's 44 plus years ago. And then a story, and I happen to know some of the participants in this story, which is, I wasn't at that school, by the way, but I happen to know some of the participants in the story, and that's why it's sort of come, it's something I'm really commenting on. But so 44 odd years later, three boys, their lives from that class, their lives have gone not real. One's gone through a very bitter and expensive divorce, and financially their life is ruined, and they're going to sort of die in penury. And there's another guy who's got some exotic disease, and he's going to die, and someone else has had a grave misfortune. They made a very risky investment. It all went up in flames, and that sort of thing. So three people who've got very disappointed with their lot in life, and they know each other, and they get together, and they mention this incident from, or multiple incidents as I understand it, from 44 years ago with this teacher at high school. So they decide, well, given their miserable lot in life, they want someone to blame. They want to take it out of someone's ass, So they decide that given that the teacher would be in his 90s now, they think, well, we've missed the boat. It's too late. One of them decides to do some checking, finds out the guy's actually still alive, like he's 91, 92 years old, something like that, in a wheelchair, and the whole thing. So they decide, no, he's still alive. Let's go get him. With zeal, the they're assisted by taxpayer money here, and the teacher, of course, is a straight white male. So I mean, gee whiz, you got to get those guys. So they go out, and it's very much in now getting people in their 80s, 90s, and whatever. Just to sort of show them that there's no escape. We'll get you and we'll crush you, that sort of thing. Now that doesn't take away from the acute inappropriateness of the behaviour. I mean, I don't think anyone would agree with behaviour like that, or that was necessary, or anything like that. It was inappropriate. But just reiterating, there was no sexual touching or touching of genitalia, and there was no sexual act. So we're just dealing with the inappropriateness of it now, which it clearly was. So anyway, they managed to get into court and have their day in court and get the guy sent to prison for it. Now, I don't know if back in the day somebody like that would have got a prison sentence. I doubt it, actually. They'd have got fired, good behaviour bond perhaps, maybe a fine, something like that. Prison's unlikely, possible, but unlikely. But today, the legal system fairly gags to put people like this in prison and to plaster it across front pages. The left-leaning media outlets report this with glee that a straight white male got it. Because didn't you know back then they were all pedophile, Nazi, fascist, misogynist Hitlers, and so we need to have as many of these people dragged out back and shot, proverbially shot. So, but I just want to have a look at the reason these guys went after the teacher wasn't because, after 44 years, wasn't because they decided that it was illegal today but not then, or anything like that. It was because their lives were miserable and they felt that their lives were over. Now, you think back, well, why has my life gone to shit? Well, it's because of that damn teacher. And this is feminist women, for example, use this model very much so the reason my life's gone bad is because of a guy who tried to rape me a million years ago, or because of the oppression of women and misogyny, Hitler. So this is a very popular way of looking at things, an acceptable way, even in legal circles, from looking at things and the idea of vengeance rather than justice, and someone to blame. The reason my life's shit is because of what that teacher did. Now, there have been other cases. One that I commented on a while ago, where there was a teacher, and he was a student. He just started teaching, so he would have been, 20 years old, and he's a sports teacher, and he's got this 15, just about to turn 16-year-old, a quite gifted athlete, female, and she's unusually tall, and she's close to 6 foot, 180 centimeters tall, physically very, very fit, big, strong girl. And she's also sexually active. And she sends this teacher text messages that are, you couldn't get more explicit. I need you to fuck me right now, and messages like that. And so, given what a big physical, she could easily have passed for early 20s, even though she was, a few weeks shy of the 16th birthday. But the law says that you have to be 17 to give informed consent. He's over 17, also has the power position, if you like, of being the coach or the teacher in this case. So on the technicality, the court in this case fully accepted that she was the initiator, she was the aggressor, she was the one chasing it and was aggressively chasing it. The court absolutely accepted that. But on the technicality that she couldn't give informed consent and he was the teacher, and therefore the duty of care argument, then they end up throwing him in prison for a few years on the technicality of it, even though there was nothing inappropriate. It was fully consensual, again, with her doing the chasing, and a very precocious. Now, fast forward 10 years, her life's gone to shit. she lacked the discipline to become the athlete that she was clearly capable of, and was too busy partying and snorting and having a good time. And so her life goes to shit. She's not very bright. Her life goes to shit. She's not going anywhere. She's gone to flab. She's not scoring the guys anymore. She's in an very depressed state. Why am I in this state? Why has everything gone to shit? It's because of him. He did it. So many years later, over a decade later, she can drag this guy's ass into court, with the full and aggressive support of the government and the taxpayer, and get him thrown in the slammer. But looking at these, are they prison sentence behaviour? The coach was silly to succumb to these sexual overtures, and the teacher 44 years ago was inappropriate behaviour, no question of that. And should he have done it? Of course not. Should he have been fired? Yeah, I think so. But is this prison type behaviour? And it's how we look at sort of justice here, and does the law apply equally to everybody? So if a female teacher has an intimate relationship with a male student, it's viewed as, oh well, she just went off the rails for a bit, and maybe she gets a demotion, or maybe she can't work at that school anymore because free to go interstate and start all over again. It's viewed very differently. So the law isn't applied equally at all, and the rule of law, as in the equal application law, should apply to everybody. And the idea that the law should be some political ideological device to throw around at whim and say, well, for the same crime, this person has to go to prison for 10 years longer than that person for exactly the same. That's in my view, that's unacceptable. Now, just to round out this sort of wider conversation, and I was talking to sort of a cocktail party type thing. I was talking to a lady who is a prosecutor. She specialised in prosecuting men for rape, and whilst at the same time complaining that she can't get laid, by the way. But anyway, that's her job. And we were talking, and she was I came to the idea the law must be applied equally. She didn't agree, and said no, that when men do it, it's particularly white men, it's worse, because they're white and they've got a history of oppression, yada yada yada. But white men are supposed to know better. Therefore, any transgression by them is twice as bad than if it's done by a black man or a brown guy or something like that. So I don't agree with that. And I was sort of saying the law should apply equally, and then it's a travesty of justice, in my view, if the law is not applied equally, and if due legal process is not observed. So this idea of reversing the balance of burden of proof, so that the guy has to prove he didn't do it, that sort of stuff. And I said that's an outrage. If the evidence is there to bring the matter to court and to gain a conviction based on the evidence and the facts of the case, then fine. Then the person should be duly punished according to the statutes of law. Now she was no. Listen, this is the fucking prosecutor, by the way. She was no. That's not right. If we think somebody maybe did it, just gut feel type stuff, we can drag them into court. This is a taxpayer expense. Just make sure we get a judge that's sympathetic to, that believes all men are rapists anyway. Get the right judge there, which apparently they can arrange at will in these sort of boutique ideological courts. And then we just sort of cross-examine the guy and beat the crap out of him in the witness stand until he says something we can jump all over. And then we've got him, and then we can maybe drag him in for a plea deal or something like that. But we just think the guy's maybe not, he didn't do this rape, but maybe he did another one. Maybe not. We can prove it, maybe. So we can get him into court and just to slap him around until we can get him on something. Now, this was said very matter of factly, like as if this was some sort of form of cosmic justice that she was she was applying, and it seems her colleagues, in fact, the whole industry seemed like that's how it just functioned, and that was it. And idiots like me who think that the law applies and the rule of law and due legal process and evidence and facts. I mean, I'm the idiot for thinking that. And that's just simply not how the world works. You stupid, silly man. But I kept on and I kept on arguing my case that the rule of law and due legal process and these sort of things, they're sacrosanct. Once you start fucking with them for ideological or political ideological reasons, then you end up, it is a slippery slope, like this petite court where they bring activist judges in and use all sorts of schemes and scams to try and hustle up a conviction and this sort of thing. Is simply not good enough. And if I was in a position to, those people would be not only looking for another job, but they might themselves be in front of a judge explaining their actions. But her position, she looked at me and said, "Why?" She said, "I don't know why you're worried. I interview rapists all day, every day, and all the time. And I know I can spot one from a million miles away. You're not the sort of guy who's ever going to be caught up in this. So why should you worry about it? Why should you care? You're never going to be on the receiving end of this. I know a rapist when I see one, and you're about as far from that as possible." Well, thanks for that. I really appreciate that vote of confidence. But again, that's not the fucking point. The point is that justice must be absolutely impartial, must not be ideological, and must not be vindictive in the sense of pursuing sort of these games of vengeance, if you like, for misdeeds past, or ones that are ideologically contrived today. Anyway, that's my view, and I think the law and due legal process, the rule of law and all equality under the law, I think it's worth fighting for and protecting. I think the globalists are trying to take it away. Well, no, I think that they are trying to take it away at so many different levels, and turn society into our society into one riven with division and shot through with mayhem. And I think that's their intention, and I think that's part of their game plan for the globalist, the takeover using the globalist project. That's my view. I look forward to seeing your views below. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.